It had been one of those days at work that left my nerves frayed and my body aching. The kind of day where you don't want to talk to anyone, where all you crave is silence and the comfort of your own space. My roommates were scheduled for the night shift, which meant, for once, I'd have the entire house to myself. Just me, a frozen pizza waiting in the freezer, a cold beer calling my name, and the promise of a quiet, uneventful evening. That was the plan. Or at least, that's what I believed when I turned the key and stepped inside. The moment the door shut behind me, something felt wrong. Not dramatic, not obvious, just wrong. The kind of off-kilter feeling that makes your stomach tighten for reasons you can't quite explain. The living room was bathed in flickering light from the TV, which was blaring loud enough to echo down the hallway. For a second, I stood frozen, staring at the screen. Had I left it on this morning? I racked my brain. No, I was sure I hadn't. I never left the TV on. Annoyance bubbled up before fear did. Great, they're going to run the electric bill into the ground. Shaking my head, I dropped my bag on the counter and headed for the kitchen, already tasting the cold beer in my hand. But then I saw the stove. One of the burners was still on, a low, steady flame glowing blue under an empty pan. The sight stopped me in my tracks. Leaving a burner on wasn't just careless, it was dangerous. My irritation sharpened into anger. They were going to burn the house down one day. I reached forward, twisted the knob to shut it off, and stood there for a moment, staring at the cooling metal. As my pizza cooked, my irritation dulled to a kind of weary resignation. Maybe they'd been in a rush, maybe they'd just forgotten. We all made mistakes. It didn't matter. I was exhausted, and all I wanted was to sink into the couch and forget about everything for a while. When the pizza was done, I grabbed a plate, flopped down on the couch, and let the flickering TV fill the silence. The noise blurred into a meaningless hum as I ate, my eyelids growing heavier with each bite. The last thing I remember was setting my empty plate aside and stretching out, the sound of canned laughter echoing faintly from the screen. Some time later, a loud thump jolted me awake. My heart skipped a beat. The sound had come from the balcony, sharp, heavy, unmistakable. Half asleep, I told myself it was nothing. Probably a raccoon or a stray cat rummaging through the lawn chairs we kept out there. I rolled over, muttering under my breath, and shuffled off to bed. But sleep didn't stick. An hour later, another thump echoed through the night, this one sharper, heavier. Not random, not accidental. It was deliberate, like something, or someone, was trying to be heard. My frustration turned into a prickling unease. I sat up staring at the darkened balcony door. The sound hadn't been my imagination. I was sure of it. Grabbing the first thing my hand found, a broom leaning against the wall, I crept toward the balcony, my heart hammering so hard it hurt. I was ready to chase off whatever animal was out there, ready to slam the door shut behind me. But when I stepped outside, the night swallowed me whole. The air felt strange, thick, heavy, like the world itself was holding its breath. The balcony was empty. The lawn chairs sat undisturbed. Nothing moved, not even the leaves. I leaned over the railing, scanning the yard below. That's when I saw her. At first I thought my overtired brain was playing tricks on me. A smear of shadow, a flicker of light. But no, she was real. Standing just beyond the edge of the balcony's shadow, half shrouded by a faint curling mist. A woman, perfectly still, her head tilted ever so slightly upward, her face hidden behind strands of dark hair. Her eyes, they weren't normal. Even from where I stood, I could see that much. They were blank, hollow, empty, like they weren't looking at me, but through me. Like I wasn't a person, but a window to something else. A cold, metallic taste filled my mouth. My voice trembled when I managed to whisper, "Hello?" She didn't move. She didn't speak. The silence stretched on until it felt like a living thing, pressing against my skin. Then, as slowly as if she were underwater, she turned her back to me and walked toward the trees at the edge of the yard. No sound, no crunch of leaves, no snap of branches, just that impossible, smothering silence. And then she was gone. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, clutching the broom like a lifeline, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Finally, I stumbled back inside, locked the balcony door, and sat down in front of the still blaring TV. My hands were shaking too hard to pick up the remote. I couldn't turn it off. I couldn't do anything but stare at the screen until dawn broke through the curtains. Months have passed since that night, but I still see her in my mind's eye. The empty stare, the fog curling at her feet, the silence that swallowed every sound. I've tried to rationalize it, to convince myself it was a dream or a trick of exhaustion or a stranger passing by, but deep down I know better. The TV, the burner, the strange heaviness in the air, those weren't accidents. It's as if she'd been inside the house before I came home, leaving signs of herself behind, tiny warnings, like she wanted me to notice, like she wanted me to know she was there. I haven't seen her since, but the thought keeps me awake some nights, that she's not gone at all, that she's just waiting, watching, and that someday, without warning, she'll come back.